Hey everyone, Jason here from Spiritualbabies.net. This is my second vlog number 2. It's Friday the 23rd of January, and because it's Friday, it's Shabbat in a few hours, in about 3 hours, it's going to be Shabbat. But I really wanted to get this video up. It's super important that you keep going, and these kind of things, it's quite hard to keep going. It's a little bit easier with the programs that I make for Spiritualbabies.net with the people that I work with. I mean, the ones that I do with Jono, Jono edits the audio, and most of the time I just whap that into a video. So that's kind of super easy for me. Jono does all the legwork, especially on the recent ones. I don't put any effort into the videos. But the half Torah portion I do with Rabbi Neely, and the shows that I do with Stuart Federer. They're kind of labor intensive, and I spend a lot of time on those during the week. And that might make me kind of take a backseat with the vlogs, but you have to keep vlogging. And it's all about the journey and all those other memes that I should, pay less attention to maybe. But so this is vlog number 2, and as I said in vlog number 1, I'm not expecting any great audiences. Hopefully I don't have any fans. Hopefully I only have people who are out there to share the information and chat about it, which is good. Which brings me to point 1. Like there's a plan. Number 1 thing I want to ask is, with the time frame and everything of where I am and where most of the people that I chat to are, being in the States, would people be interested in kind of a live hangout vloggy chat? Because it's possible with pretty much any piece of hardware these days, whether it's a computer or a tablet or a good smartphone, to kind of tune in and chat, be that through your mic, or if you're a little bit shyer, you can, like Shia LaBeouf, probably not a great joke, you can type in as well stuff and we can have a chat. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to like share a cup of tea. In most instances, like if I give you an example, I'm 6 hours ahead of Dallas time. So 3 o'clock in the afternoon for me, which is normally a good time to have a cup of tea, but there's never a bad time to have a cup of tea, is 9 o'clock Dallas time. So if you feel that you have 20 minutes, half an hour, and fully dressed and not weird, because don't want this to be weird, to sit down and have a cup of tea, it might be kind of cool to do that, once a week. Who knows? Get to know people in kind of a more way. It's a thing. Look it up. A more way. So that was number 1. Number 2. So something I've been thinking about a lot this week is what a lot of us do on Facebook. So a lot of the people that I hang with are very engaged in the Facebook community that I am in. Only a small portion of those are up for going out and kind of getting involved with dialogue, people who feel differently about the text, whether they be Hebrew roots or Christian or Messianic, and that's a good thing. It's hard work, and I know personally I jumped in way too early when I kind of slipped out of the church. I was all gung-ho, and then I found myself in the middle of a field of battle, and I had no idea how to use the gun. But what I've come to realize is that there shouldn't be any field of battle, and there shouldn't be any gun, and it shouldn't be about fighting to prove whether you're right or wrong. It's fighting. It's not even fighting. It's going in there with the text and trying to show people what the text says without having to lean on it or paint it in any way. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit in this vlog. It's quite important that if you are going to talk to people about your faith, that you use your Tanakh as your point of reference. Everybody has a personal relationship with their creator, and to everybody that personal revelation and relationship and journey is really important, and that's the most important thing. But it isn't to anybody else, and you can no more explain that your truth is the truth through your personal revelation and your personal acceptance of a singular God, of our creator, and you can explain to somebody why you prefer cheese over milk, or why you prefer buses over trains. It's your personal preference. It doesn't make any sense. You can only really talk to people about what the Bible says by using what the Bible says. And there are some issues because obviously the Bible is written in whatever native language people are reading it in, and that causes an issue outside of the Hebrew, and maybe in some instances even in the Hebrew, because the ancient biblical text is going to have some nuances and idioms which aren't used in today's language. But the major key points, even in English, work. So the omittance of things in the text, like you must believe in a Messiah, like when I send a Messiah, he will die, like when I will send a Messiah, everything's going to change. Those things aren't in the text. You have to kind of dig around to find any reference to a Messiah. We hear about the final days, and we hear about a king that's going to arrive in those final days. But what we don't hear is that there's going to be a king who will fix all the problems. God solves those problems. We don't know whether that's going to happen in a heartbeat or over a period of months or years. And those kind of debates and arguments you can make with the text quite cleanly and clearly, and they should be. You can be passionate about it, but you should never be aggressive. And it is hard not to get angry because of the frustration, and it's hard not to name call because of the frustration. But that's not a good representation of who we should be. It's not a good representation of the text. If you truly believe in the text, you have to kind of be more patient and take a step back when the person you're listening to just doesn't understand what you're saying, or doesn't want to understand what you're saying, which is usually the case. I'm guilty of getting quite frustrated and annoyed, and I'm only learning now to take a step away rather than, bang in, I know I am right, because that doesn't help. The other person thinks they're right, you think you're right. You have to go to the text. Now, if the other person doesn't want to go to the text and read it, I had a discussion with somebody only today about Isaiah 7, and clearly they said there's a virgin birth. And so when I asked them where they got that from, they went to the Isaiah passage, and then I said, well, do you think that's a virgin birth? Do you think that this baby that's born in this time period is a virgin birth? And they said, well, I hadn't thought about that. Maybe that is. Maybe there's two virgin births. At that point, you want to shake your computer and scream a little bit. But to the other person who has never considered it before, they're lost. They're clinging onto something that they perceive to be true, and they're trying to make that work within the framework of their belief system. So we have to be patient, but that's not to say that everyone has to do it, and you certainly shouldn't. I think we have a right to defend the text we believe in and the context of that text, because that doesn't change. And most of the time, if you look at scholarly Christian approaches to the Tanakh text, 98% of the time they adhere to the Jewish perspective and understanding of that text. Usually, when you are talking to a Christian or a Hebrew roots person, you're hearing the understanding of that text from like 200 years ago, where the regular Joe who goes to church couldn't read it for themselves. And then when you get to the messianic part of that, you're looking at how that understanding has been twisted slightly and put in a Jewish slant on it, So basically, patience. That's what I wanted to talk about today when speaking to people who don't share your faith. I mean, we're not out to save people. And I don't think you can really argue anybody into a corner and have them say, oh, you know what? You're right. That, in my experience, it's never happened. People have to be willing to jump off the cliff and see if the parachute works. And that's a choice that only they can make, and we can't force them into doing that. But what we can do is defend our perspective, and that should be, if you are one of those people that goes into forums on Facebook, like the No Holds Bar group, or the Absolutely No Holds Bar group, which is kind of funny. It's like the I've got a really popular Bible group, but I want two, so I'll make another one with a slightly different name. If you are the kind of person that goes into that group and engages in Christians, which is, it's a good way of sharpening your wit and getting to know the text, but it's not what you call a fun experience. You really going in there to drive a better understanding of what the Jewish text says. And if you are going to do that, then just go in there with some humility, which isn't a word I use very often because I'm not a person that has a lot, and with some patience, and with a full array of stuff. Know your stuff before you go in. If you ask the wrong thing and then some guy that's been versed in apologetics for 30 years comes along and asks you something back and you can't answer, you're gonna look a fool. And more importantly, the Tanakh that you're quoting is gonna look foolish, and that's not good. So anyway, that was number 2 thing, patience. Number 3, I just wanted to wish everyone an awesome Shabbat. Thanks for watching, if you have been watching, and if you haven't, then because you don't care, because you're not here to look at it. But for the most part, have an awesome Shabbat. Lots of rest, lots of study, spend time with your friends and family. I'll be spending Shabbat with my wonderful wife again. I just love it. Every week, so good. And I'll see you all again next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Oh, and subscribe. Not just here, but over on Spiritualbabies.net. Otherwise, I'll send a subscription please out to you. You don't want, they're on the way to you right now for not subscribing. If you subscribe, my videos will pop up in your email. My videos will pop up on your YouTube news feed. You won't miss anything. And it's more important over on Spiritualbabies.net because, I'm doing a video once or twice a week, and you'll get it before anyone else does. Moreover, when someone trots along and they have questions about the Bible and they type that into YouTube, if I get more subscribers, it's more likely they'll find the Tanakh answer before they get to the passion for truth, thou shall I answer. So it's up to you. You can do your bit that way. It helps me, it helps the channel, it helps the message. And now I'm definitely done. The police should be at your door now. I'd click that button. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.